When I first got into guns, I never really expected that I would end up playing with night vision, thermal overlay, fusion technology, but here we are. This is the Rix Tactical RENVC. Rix Tactical did send me this beanie. They also sent me this, but I do have to send it back. But I've had it for about 2 months now, and so I've gotten a lot of use out of it. And I have a pretty good idea of the pros and cons of this thing. And I mean, it's pretty incredible technology for someone that wants night vision thermal fusion. And what is fusion? Fusion means most people, the way they do it is they do a PVS 14 in one eye, night vision, and a thermal in the other eye. And so you have both. Well, I think that this makes a lot more sense, but I also have limited experience because this is the only thermal fusion I've tried. But what this does is it has a projector. So this is a thermal imager, and it projects into your night vision tube. And so you still have both tubes, dual tube night vision, but you have thermal coming in one of them, and your brain is a wonderful thing. It puts both images together, and you just see in thermal and night vision. The cool thing that I've learned using it quite a bit is if I want to turn off the thermal image, I just close that eye, and then I'm just seeing night vision as if I was wearing a monocular like a PVS 14 or something. And if I really want to focus in on the thermal, I close the other eye. But you basically see it in both eyes, the thermal, because of the way your brain works, which is very cool. And it's pretty insane, to be quite honest. Now, to me, I don't feel like I have as much of a need for thermal as I do for night vision. But a lot of people, this is the new hot thing, a lot of people are getting into fusion technology, night vision and thermal, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. Thermal does things that night vision doesn't do, and we're going to get into exactly what that is. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Night vision, if you guys have been watching the channel for the last 6 months, you know how much I love night vision. I've only had night vision for the last 6 months since Rix Tactical sent me their RNV31, which is this dual tube unit here. And I've been using it a lot. It's incredible. But night vision is limited. So you're seeing in a monochrome, black and white basically. And I mean, it's amazing. You can see in the dark, which, you can't without night vision. But things can still be, how do I put this? Things can still be camouflaged naturally. Animals, humans, whatever. Things that thermal can see that night vision can't. And that is one of the things that I've discovered with the thermal. So I took my daughter on a trip up to Stanley, Idaho, which is north of here, for her spring break. And that was right after I'd first gotten this thermal clip-on. It's a Cody, a clip-on thermal imager, Cody being C-O-T-I. And I wanted to try it up there because Stanley is in the middle of the Idaho wilderness, basically in the Sawtooth Mountains. Sawtooth Tactical, that's where it comes from. And so I put this thing on. It was like the second time I think I'd tried this thermal, maybe third time, whatever, I'd only had it for like a week. And I walked out on the porch of the hotel that we were staying at. And all of a sudden I pick up 2 things running across this field, zigzagging, whatever, and they were bright because the thermal, you see the thermal signature. What were these things? Well, they were foxes, and I would not have seen them with just the night vision. That's kind of the difference. And so if you're a hunter, or if you're actually engaged in, real tactical scenarios, which luckily I'm not, thermal is a very powerful tool because immediately I picked those up out of the corner of my eye because they were glowing and they ran closer, and I watched these foxes all the way, and I would not have seen them, definitely wouldn't have with nothing on because it was dark, but I wouldn't have even picked them up with the night vision until they got very close. But with the thermal, I saw them coming from quite a ways away, and that is where thermal comes in. I've even done, so me and my daughter we have a really cool park near our place. We went there the other night, and played hide and seek with the thermal. And it's amazing because, when everything else is not that warm, my daughter is. She's a person. And so it really makes it easy to pick out people, animals, when you wouldn't otherwise see them, even with night vision. Now, this video is sponsored by Aura. You're not going to be able to afford night vision or thermal if you're getting scammed all the time, and Aura stops that from happening. In fact, they stop you from getting scammed, they stop you from getting spam calls. They go on the internet and they find anywhere where your data has been leaked, and they submit opt-out requests with any data brokers that are selling your information. And then all of a sudden, you're like free from all of the BS of the modern digital age, all of the stuff that you don't want. None of us want to open our emails and have it full of spam junk that we have to sift through to find the emails that actually matter. None of us want to get phone calls from scammers and spam all the time. And I don't get any of that stuff anymore. I used to get it all the time, until I started using Aura about a year ago, and I don't get any of it anymore. Aura does all this plus a whole lot more. They manage your passwords for you, home title monitoring, again, scam and spam call protection. They give you, the biggest one to me is that data broker removal, but they do all of your online security all in one place for $12 a month. But you can try it out absolutely free if you use my link, first link in the description. That link is aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. See if you think it's worth it for you or not. I promise you it is. I've been using it for over a year now, and it has changed my life for the better. I hate all that stuff. I use my phone for work. I have to answer numbers I don't recognize regularly because my business card is out there with my phone number on it. And now I'm confident that when I'm answering a phone call, it's actually somebody I need to do business with and not a scammer, not spam. That is all thanks to Aura. So again, try it out absolutely free for 2 weeks with my link. That link is aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. So we've talked a little bit about what thermal does, but let's talk specifically about this unit, the RENVC, because it is a very cool thing. And most people think about like thermal clip-ons, that go in front of your LPVO or something like that on your rifle. Or a standalone thermal unit, just one that you can, a handheld deal or even helmet mounted. But I think, again, with my limited experience, that this thermal imaging into your night vision is the way to go. It's predator vision. It's like, I watched The Predator when I was a kid. I was born in 1982. Those were the movies, Terminator, Predator. And you can see like the Predator now. You can see at night and you can see people's thermal signatures, and it's very high resolution, very good. It doesn't have there is a slight delay sometimes, but not really noticeable once you get used to it. It is pretty close to, so night vision, analog night vision, the great thing about it is that there is no delay. Like what you see is what's there. There's no processor, computer in it, with a camera and then putting an image in your eye that's delayed a little bit. Thermal there is. There is a thermal imager. There's a processor in here. This is a little computer, but it's a very fast computer because that has not been an issue for me. Every once in a while you'll notice it glitch and catch up for a second, but for the most part, it's pretty much in real time, perfectly. And it's very high resolution. And the other thing is that it's lightweight. This thing weighs 2¼ ounces. So, this whole setup right here is pretty sweet. So, the RNV31. Now, Gen 2 plus night vision, not Gen 3, but dual tube, white phosphor, articulating. And one of the things about this housing in particular is it's pretty compact, which is nice. I'm not even using a counterweight on my helmet because the unit doesn't weigh that much and this ballistic helmet weighs a lot. Well, by adding this thermal onto it, you're actually not adding much weight to your helmet, which is really nice. In fact, I couldn't even tell much of a difference with or without the thermal, which is really cool. Now, one thing it does do is when you go to rotate your tubes out of the way, this one, see that? It kind of weighs the tube down a little bit. You can tighten that up. That's not a big deal, but it is just something I've noticed. I've got this for a few more days before I have to send it back. And I just went to the park with my daughter the other night. And like I said, we played like hide and seek. We just ran around in the park with night vision and thermal on. Of course, I was filming for part of it, you know, so in that case, it's in my hand, which is not quite as easy to deal with as on your face. And that's the whole point of this, is on your face. It's hands-free, and it's truly hands-free. Well, so let me explain how this thing works real quick. So when I first got it, I was actually a little bit overwhelmed. I thought it was extremely complicated compared to night vision. Night vision, turn it on, look through it, you see in the dark, right? Well, this actually has all kinds of menus and all kinds of features and all this crazy stuff. But I've found after using it for a while that it's actually really easy. So easy that it only takes 3 buttons, and this is a remote. Now, it has the exact same buttons on the unit. You have a power button on that side. On this side, you have a menu button, and then you have a plus minus. And so you use those to, well, power. That's pretty self-explanatory. Turns the thing on and off. And it's pretty cool when you turn it on, you know, you're seeing through night vision, and it's like initializing, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in thermal vision. And it's pretty wild. It was a little bit overwhelming at first until I got used to it. The first night I had it, I took it for a walk, and I mean, it felt like being on a psychedelic or something. Like I was seeing things that weren't normally there, which was a little bit wild. Once you get used to what you're looking at, it is very cool because you see things that you wouldn't otherwise see. I felt like it sometimes that it's almost like you had x-ray vision because I could see the studs in houses, because the studs, and then there's insulation between them, you know, difference in temperature there. And so you could see the studs in the walls of the houses while you're walking along. You could see manhole covers because the sewer underneath is warm compared. I mean, I got this in the wintertime. It's springtime now. I've had it for a couple months. But so you do see things that aren't really there. But you can also adjust and turn down the sensitivity. You have actually like an auto brightness in your menu, and it's very easy to get to the menu. I'm going to show you on this really quick, but all you do is you hit that, you know, hold that menu button, and this could be in your pocket. You can actually mount it on your rifle if you wanted to. Although I use this a lot, not at the range, and so I just kept it in my pocket. But you know, hold the menu button and then you get your menu. Click through it just by hitting that menu button, and then the positive, negative, plus, minus is how you change the different items. And so I realized after a while, like I just had too much intensity, too much brightness going with the thermal, and you can adjust that, and then it's not so overwhelming. But if you feel like you really need that sensitivity, you're scanning, you're trying to find something, turn it up. And the cool thing is you can also just turn it off and on. If you just want night vision in your eyes and no thermal, you can do that and turn the thermal on when you need to scan for life or whatever it may be. And so it adds just a whole new layer of capability to your helmet. And if you're doing stuff, night vision kind of stuff, it is a very cool capability to have. It'll work on any night vision unit. So specifically on the RENV-31 here, you have like some mounting screws specifically for this, and there's like a tray that it slides into. It's very slick. But it also comes with this. And this is pretty much like the standard kind of mount for a Cody, a clip-on thermal imager. Thermal clips into here, and this goes around any standard 30mm PVS-14 style night vision tube. So you can use this with any night vision you have. It does not have to be Rix Tactical night vision. It'll work with any night vision. And you don't have to collimate it or calibrate it or anything. It's just kind of plug and play. You turn it on, and it projects the thermal right into your night vision tube. What I did find, so thermal is something that doesn't matter if it's dark or light, but this actually does. And the reason for that is because you're seeing it through a night vision tube. And I found this out actually just the other night when I was going to get some B-roll for this video. You know, I thought maybe I could film some stuff before it got super dark, and I wasn't really seeing the thermal image. The night before, I'd gone out and realized my battery was dead from all the use. And it does take a CR123, pretty standard battery. So I changed my battery. I came out the next night to do it again. And it wasn't quite dark yet. But it was a school night for my daughter. It was a work night for me. So I was trying to get it done before it got too late. And I realized that it does have to be dark. Because what it's doing is it's projecting the image as light through your night vision tube. Well, if it's not dark outside, then your night vision tube's getting all kinds of other light, and so you don't really see much of a thermal image. So this thermal, as a clip-on unit with your night vision, is really only usable in the dark with your night vision. I've looked through some other thermals, just looked through them like at my local gun store, and they're very, very cool, but they're big units and they're pretty much standalone deals. I think that if you're going for head-mounted thermal and night vision, fusion, I think that this is a very, very cool way to do it. Like I said, the latency, once you get used to it, is like pretty much nothing. It's pretty much real time, just like your night vision is. And it's very just usable because you can turn your thermal off and on, but you always have dual tube night vision. Or you can, you can use it on a PVS 14 or an RNV 14, a single tube monocular if you wanted to as well. Although I did find it nice to be able to just close one eye and just have night vision sometimes. Although of course you could always just turn the unit off to do that as well. But sometimes it's nice just to be able to, I don't know. I'm experimenting with this stuff. Test it out, see what I'm seeing, night vision. Wow, that's thermal. It's just kind of fun. I do want to thank Rix Tactical for sending this out to me. It is very, very cool technology. And I kind of wish I could afford to keep it, but I do have to send it back because they're not cheap. But they are cheap for a thermal. That's the thing. So thermal is a very expensive technology. This is not that expensive as far as thermal goes, and it is totally usable. I've even watched some other channels that really specialize in this kind of stuff more than I do. And it seems like they're all very impressed with this RENVC. As far as for, thermal night vision fusion, it seems to be, very highly rated by people that do this. I'm not an expert by any means. I've done a lot of shooting under night vision, a lot of hiking, a lot of just, messing with it over the last 6 months. And I feel like I've gotten pretty good at night vision. Still getting used to the thermal. Still trying to find out what I personally would need thermal for. And I don't have as much of a use for thermal as I do for night vision. The night vision, I bought. The thermal, I am sending back. But if you're looking for thermal fusion, look into this RENVC. It is very, very incredible technology. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. If you like stuff like this, I love guns, but I also love the other stuff that goes along with it, like night vision, thermal, all this stuff kind of all goes together. Sawtooth, the Sawtooth Mountains, tactical, right? So anyway, let me know down in the comments, are you interested in thermal fusion? Because night vision itself is kind of a niche thing. I've even gotten comments from people, every time you do a night vision video, you lose me. But I know that there are people that are into it because a lot of people that are into guns are into shooting guns at night. I mean, they wouldn't make laser aiming modules for your guns if they weren't meant to be used with night vision, right? But thermal fusion is even more niche. So I want to hear from the guys that are into this, that know about it. What do you think about the RENVC, even if you haven't used it, about the theory, about the idea of thermal fusion through your night vision tube? Because as far as I've thought about this a lot, and I can't really imagine a better way to do thermal fusion. To me, I mean, the future is now, old man. Like, I never would have imagined this when I was younger, and it's freaking incredible. But anyway, from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.